Hey Jenny, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Julia. How are you?
Good. I know we are going to talk about prompt engineering and what people need to do and what they might erroneously think they have to do to create good prompts. And if you're
Mhm.
tuning in, this is the Missing Manual show where we give you some of the written instructions to things that you need to know about work and AI that you don't have the instruction manual for.
Yes, and we're really excited to talk about prompt engineering. When Julia and I were talking about like what can we talk about, I always like to reflect on conversations I've had recently with different leaders. And one of the things that's come up 3 or 4 times in the last couple weeks is specifically about prompt engineering. And a couple layers of different prompt engineering. First off, it seems like people in general who are dabbling with AI have a lot of anxiety that their prompts aren't right. Have you heard this or seen this at all,
I've been
Julia?
there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
When I first started playing around with AI, I was horrible about, I wasn't prompting. I was chatting with AI, putting things in like I would do a Google search.
Okay. See, I always started talking with it like a conversation. So maybe I'm a little different in that regard. But I was specifically, we were out with some friends. A wonderful lawyer friend of ours was talking about some frustrations they had with their own LLMs at work. Said was like, I only have this much I can put in there. And I kind of looked at him and I'm like, well, you're using AI to write your prompts, right? And he was like, what? I was like, you're not? And he's like, I never thought of that before. And so I think sometimes people forget too, is like, again, we've said this a couple times in the show, but one of the best lenses on how to better use the AI is the AI itself, and especially as it relates to prompt engineering. And if we remember back to several themes of these lessons, is AI is constantly trying to guess what your version of good is. And so it's learning a lot about how to work with you, especially if this is something that you've been working with for a little while. And so you can ask it for insights on how could I improve on prompt engineering. What are some tips and tricks that you might have for me for how to get this better? And if you're brand new to this, or if you're newer to this, you can also say, hey, I'm newer at prompt engineering. What are the 5 things I need to remember? Make sure that it's consumable, make sure that it's that you've reduced cognitive load. Like you can do some of those different pieces, but make sure that's really actionable and that helps me get this right. Julia, what other tips and tricks do you have?
Think when I first started, I was just putting things in like, I need to do this. And I got that kind of, results because
Hmm.
I wasn't either starting with the problem that I'm trying to solve or the audience that I was trying to connect with. I didn't understand prompt engineering well enough to start. And then I started doing research. Tell me more about prompt engineering. Sometimes, even now, I'll say, hey, I'm trying to do this for this audience or for this customer. So, um, write a prompt, or there are certain things I use Claude for, there's certain things I use Gemini for. And so if I'm working in one and then want to take it to the other, I'll say, write me a prompt to get to here. And then it'll give me the prompt to hand off to the other AI to use. And then I might say, okay, here's the result I got from it. What's working? What's not? How could I better refine the prompt or ask it to do something in a follow up? And so I'll play the AIs against each other, not against each other, with each other, right?
Hmm.
They're both helping me and might have different lenses for it, but I'll also ask it to check itself. And I think I learned that one from you. I learned a lot of things from you.
Well, I appreciate that. I love that. I love that. Again, when it's trying to guess your version of good, that's where hallucinations come from. So it is assuming that I want this thing, and if you don't give it specific guardrails, right, like that thing might not be accurate. And so it's important.
I'm doing something right now. I have something called the Relationship Bank Account, an ebook that I wrote, and I have Your Network Read, which is an AI tool that I built and you helped me fine tune that's launching. And I'm creating some carousels on LinkedIn. And I gave it what I thought was a pretty good prompt. And the results I was getting from Claude with some of the images just was falling flat. And so
Yeah,
I
Claude's
went and
not very
found,
good at images. Claude is very, very good at building your prompt, and then you can bring
yeah,
it to Gemini or to actually OpenAI. I found is really, really, really good for images.
but I found some really good content around carousels
Yeah.
and what works and what doesn't for LinkedIn specifically. And I'm not finished with this yet, but I'm working through it. But I was able to show what good looks like and why in it. And the level of output that I got was night and day from where I started to where I am right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so a lot of our audience is probably in the people operations, recruiting, HR space, right? And in this space, we understand that people are not one size fits all, right? A VP of HR is not a VP of HR is not a VP of HR. Or if I'm looking for a financial analyst, right? A financial analyst is not a financial analyst, is not a financial analyst. They might come from different industries, might have different skills, might have different things. So what do we do in that situation? We sharpen our search. We have additional context that we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who might have this many years of experience. We're looking for somebody who might have these skills. We're looking for somebody who might come from this company or from this sector or whatever. And as we're doing this, right, we're narrowing the aperture. We're going from fishing from the entire ocean to fishing ideally from a smaller pond, right? And that pond ideally has the people that we're specifically looking for. If you take that same exact concept and apply it to how you talk to AI, you will get much better responses. So instead of saying, I want this, it's, hey, I'm coming to this situation. Here's the background. Here's what's going on. Here is what I'm coming up against. Here's what I'm trying to do. Here's a little bit more context. Like you, again, you're taking this wide everything and you're narrowing the aperture so that you've got a smaller pond. AI likes constraints. Constraints are a superpower of AI. And so when we can give it constraints or give it guardrails in terms of what our version of good looks like, you are going to get something reverse engineered that is much more dialed in because you're not just looking for, one line that comes from the ocean.
And I think talking to AI and also as you're developing the prompt that you're looking for, before you can always say, before you develop the prompt, ask me questions, specific
Interview me.
questions that can help fine tune this and
Yes.
improve it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good hack. I talk to a lot of people about that. They're concerned about trying to begin. It's like ask the AI to interview you about what you're looking for and then have it go and choose to begin, right? So, because again, and sometimes we don't know what our version of good looks like, but we might know what our version of bad looks like. And again, all of that helps in terms of context because sometimes the bad guardrail ends up, helping at least we don't have the other side of it, but at least we have it here. It says cutting out all of this other area over this way, right? But it's also bringing in constraints, and it's again giving the AI a better understanding of what our version of good is. And with a system that is constantly trying to give you its version of good, right? We have to give it insights into what that is. And we might not always know what that is, but if we learn how to better talk to the AI itself, it's going to help us get this right. If you're ever like in lockstep with an AI and you get it to really respond right, like you're like, oh, this is dialed in. This is amazing. This is great. Before you move on to the next step, take a moment and pause. It is really important to collect the dots so that we can connect the dots downstream. And so you can tell the AI, hey, this interaction's been amazing. I love how you're responding here. Can you help future me get this right by creating an exact prompt that will allow you to respond like this for me in the future? And then you have it do that and you have it sharpen that, right? Like, this is great, but how can we improve it 25%? Or what shouldn't be here that is that, and so ask it to check its work or ask it to improve its work more so. And then you take that information and you collect those out so you can connect them downstream. Having a spreadsheet where you just plug and chug these pieces in here, concept, and you can pull it in.
Which I like that idea. Or depending on if this is a repeatable task that you're going to be doing. So if you're a recruiter and you are sourcing and using AI to help you with sourcing, you could take that and create a project or a
Yes,
gem, depending on where you are, that's got that as the project instructions. And then
yes,
every time you're starting with a new search, you've got that baseline. Now, as you continue to work in your project, you need to update your project instructions, which that could be a whole nother episode, right?
yes. Remember, AI can help you write your project instructions. Certain piece
Yep.
there too. It's like, again, but help it help you. but also
Yeah.
be very careful when you are sourcing from a project. I have a tendency I prefer to have AI help me build the search and help me inform the Boolean strings or things like that. But I like to do the actual sourcing itself in a system that has a little bit more protections around PII, because there are emerging laws that are coming out, and we don't necessarily know, especially here in the US, because like that stuff's kind of stalled right now. But it's likely going to be that there will be better protections of that in the future. But the thing to remember is it's one thing to have the AI help you source in there, but you want to be very careful about pulling in PII or private identifiable information into an LLM without the consent of the human beforehand, because we don't necessarily have protections.
Yeah. Well, I think we're at a good stopping point around prompt engineering. Is there anything you want to add around prompt engineering?
I just want to challenge people to choose to begin with this. Like it's going to feel a little weird at first, probably. And you're not, again, probably going to feel like you're perfect at this, but the most important thing to do is to choose to begin. And again, remember to ask the AI for help with this. It will give you one size fits one recommendations on how to get this right. So I think that's my last piece there.
And every day you're going to get a little better at it, and
You
it's going to
will.
be a little more comfortable and maybe not awkward like I was when I first started, where I was and where I am now. Way
Right?
extremely
You flash
different.
forward like how long? It's been like what, 3-4 years I've been working with generative AI, and now I talk to it like it's freaking Julia. Like I just
Yeah.
talk to it like a friend. Like, hey, here's what I'm thinking. This is what's going on. I'm gonna verbally dump all the things. But anyways, we're starting into another thing. So
Yeah.
with that, thank you for
It,
tuning in to this episode of the Missing Manual.
Make sure that
Um,
you like and subscribe. And if you feel like you've got any additional tips or things that work well for you around creating prompts and saving prompts and all of that, please put them in the comments or reach out to Jenny or I about it. We love talking about this stuff. And thank you for watching and listening into the Missing Manual Show.
until next time, friends.
Bye, everyone.